Okay, hi everybody. It's 2:45, so I am going to honor your time and get started. So thank you for joining us on this. Kristen and I were just talking about how beautiful it is outside. So I'm hoping that it is where all of you are as well. Um, just for those of you who I haven't met, my name is Karen Deary, and I am one of our Renew state trainers from the Patton Harrisburg office. And we have a couple of other Patton folks with us here today. So Kristen Starosta, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm Kristen Starosta. I'm with the Patton East office and one of the Renew state people too.
Okay. And you'll see Kristen Olsick on the call. She is our support staff for Renew. So many of you, you all, I'm sure, are familiar with Kristen as I know that you email back and forth with her when you need anything. She is our go-to girl for that. And I think that's it. Joel dropped off. So what we would like to do is, let me pull up my screen for you, and then I'll be shutting that right back down momentarily. But let me just get with you with the opening slides for today and get us set up and started. But eventually, what we are going to do is kind of get back out of here and just introduce each other. But I just wanted to remind you that we're together this afternoon for an hour. Um, just to give some updates on Renew in Pennsylvania as well as across the country, especially at obviously University of New Hampshire. This is our last taught webinar for this school year. So this is again just indicating that we're here on April 8th. See here with here we go. So as always, we like to just start our work and ground our afternoon together in Patton's mission to just uphold and bring forward to you the initiatives driven by the Bureau of Special Education, and to make sure that we are building the capacity across our LEAs in the state in a way that we can ensure that we bring the best service models to our students with special education needs. And we do that by, again, considering that our work is grounded in the expectation that we educate all of our students in the least restrictive environment, which is ensuring that kids are getting appropriate supplementary aids and services in the environment that is most appropriate and agreed upon by the IEP team for any particular student. So that may be fully included in general education 100% of the time, all the way up to being educated in an alternative program of some sort, but definitely made individually based on the needs of the student. So kind of here's what I want to do is get back out of the slide deck and just let you all kind of see each other and hear from each other and know who's here. So let me stop sharing so that we can see faces. If you are comfortable putting your camera on so that we can see you, we would love that. Otherwise, I'm just going to call people out. And as I do, feel free to unmute and just tell us who you are, where you're from. And I would give you this opportunity also to celebrate. If you have great news and positive celebrations or anything that you want to share about Renew and the work you're doing in your area, we would love to hear those updates from you. So I'm just going to go across the order that's on my screen, and that brings us to Michael Lord first. Hi, Mike.
Hey, how you doing, Karen? Yeah,
Good.
Michael Lord, IU 16. We've had a couple, I think, false starts in IU 16, but so really nothing to report this year new, but I'm hopeful in the future that we'll get more schools on board because it's a great intervention.
Thanks, Mike. Lori, are you 12?
Hi, Lori Hersick, IU12. Kind of the same as Michael. We just haven't had much going on this year. It was a really good year last year, and then, you know.
Uh, yes, it'll pick back up, though. I have no doubt that we'll be hearing from people. Karen.
Hi, I'm Karen Chambers with IU4. We haven't had any renew this year at our IU.
Thanks, Karen. And Karen Neefer.
Hi, Karen Efer from IU25. Just like everybody else, we haven't had any renew implementation this year, but hopefully next year.
I'm sure. Yep. Anita.
Hi, Anita Heller from IU13. We actually had a school that was interested this year. We had to push back the training in the fall to the spring, and we were scheduled to do it yesterday, and they canceled the day before due to COVID outbreaks and stuff. So
Sure.
I am hopeful. We did find another high school also that was interested. So maybe next year we'll have a couple schools.
For sure. It's a moving target. Certainly understood. Brida.
Hi, I'm Brida Drum. I am a school social worker on the TAC team at Midwestern Intermediate Unit 4.
Welcome. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Kate now, but Kate, I say I'm a little jealous. I'm sitting in a hotel room and there's a nice little patio in the full sun that I could be sitting on, but I couldn't find any electricity to connect. So I'm enjoying your outside location.
Yeah, sorry, my kinder gets off the bus around 2:50 and they don't let them off if they don't
Sure.
see a parent. So
Right.
this is my office. I'm with Anita, IU13. So she already explained our situation. We're hopeful that somehow the sub shortage is alleviated in the fall and we'll have a couple of teams join us.
Yeah, that's been a real issue too. That was a rising issue anyway. And then this just didn't, the whole circumstance didn't help with the substitute situation. Yeah. Courtney.
I feel like I get to be some more sunshine. So with our teams that were well established, they have been able to continue at 2 of the high schools, maybe not to the full extent because at the secondary level, there's a lot of students who have opted to be virtual. So it might not be quite as frequently or intense as many students as they would have otherwise had. And then we did bring on 2 new schools this year who have had their struggles. Each team has at least one facilitator or one pair of facilitators that is working with at least one student. But most recently, one of those districts was able to bring on, I think, an additional student. So we've had struggles related to COVID as well as incarceration for a selected student. So we continue, but we do still have some that are going very strong. They were well established though. Oh,
Sure.
IU20. I don't know if I said that.
Oh, thank you. Yep. Wonderful. And Kelly.
Hi, Kelly Haichu from the Westmoreland Intermediate Unit. And kind of the same, unfortunately, we actually had a school February of 2020 that we were supposed to start the trainings, and then everything shut down. So we weren't able to get started, but we have another district who expressed interest as well. So hopefully next year we could bring those schools together for the training, because they like to be together to do some networking and to, share ideas. And I always like different teams to be in the room together. So it might actually turn out better to have those schools in one room whenever we do the training. So hopeful for next year.
Yeah, me too, Kelly. And I agree, strength in numbers. I mean, people want to hear what other people are doing, even if they're new into, a strategy or something. Yeah, it is nice to have them together. So hopefully that will happen for you. Yeah. Wonderful. Jamie. Hi.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jamie Grau, IU2. We currently are still trying to get a few people to engage. There are a few people few schools that are interested. So hopefully next year we'll be able to, scale things up and start renew in a couple of our schools.
We'll take interest. Absolutely. Yep. And we'll just move them along as they're comfortable.
Yes.
Yeah. Chris.
Hello, Chris Bukulich, IU1. Hello, everyone. Currently, I personally don't have I don't have anything to report as of yet. But definitely there are some districts out there that have expressed some interest in doing renew. So definitely keep you guys updated.
Great. Thanks so much. We appreciate that. Good. And Jonathan?
I'm also a TAC consultant with IU4, so we kind of reported out already.
Okay, thank you. Melissa?
Good afternoon, everyone. Melissa Hunter, IU1. I am a TAC along with Chris and a Renew facilitator. Not a lot to report in IU1 this year for Renew. But I, as the interagency coordinator, I definitely see a need for it. So hopefully, we can dig in next year.
Absolutely, I'm sure. Thank you. Becky?
Hey there, how are you? Becky Millspaugh from IU23. We've had a lot of cyber charters, believe it or not, in our area. We're in the King of Prussia Corporate Center. So the unfortunate thing is the cyber school that helped us also create that slide deck that some people have been using for some of the online work. They got a new CEO and the CEO cut the budget and then removed the Renew people. So they're not doing Renew. However, it's like, unfortunately, but fortunately, another cyber charter heard about it. And so we actually have one of the largest in the state right now, especially with a lot of families opting to go cyber charter that have joined it. I just finished day 2 facilitator training, and I'm rather excited about where they are because they really stretch across the state of Pennsylvania. So it's going to be a real challenge for them. We need Renew in a lot of our high schools, but Montgomery County is in kind of the infancy stages a little bit when it comes to PBIS. So we're just now getting some of our high schools to bite with Universal. So we keep talking about Renew, and I'm with you, Jamie. We keep talking about Renew. We need to get them involved. My hope is if they see this school now do so well, that'll cause a little bit of peer pressure and other high schools will want to join in.
That would be great. And Becky, we need to get together and talk about the cyber, the virtual implementation. I am also supporting a cyber charter school, and they're in their second year kind of implementation. It's a struggle. Yeah.
But you can do it. You can
absolutely do it. Yeah. I just feel like we need some, I don't know, maybe sharing from other people who are doing the same. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Yeah. Thank you. Adrian.
Hi, everybody. I'm Adrian Steitler from IU28. I hope I'm not frozen or breaking up. It's really windy here where I'm at, and my power just went off, so I don't know what's going on.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
We can. We can hear you. We can.
Oh, you can?
We can.
Okay. We have an IU classroom in a district. And most
Oh, and Adrian, after that, we just lost you. We're going to let you hang on up. And now I think we lost her altogether. So that puts me next, Doreen. We'll come back and see if Adrian.
It's Doreen from IU29. I work with Annie Grabowski for Renew. We don't have any new teams, but our existing team, Schuylkill Haven, is really doing great things. They've been a mixture of face-to-face and hybrid, depending on the situations with cases and everything. But one exciting thing is we had actually in person, we trained 6 new facilitators, and it was a great day. They really enjoyed the training, so they're expanding their team and they're doing good things. So we're proud of that. And they keep talking it up about how good it is. But again, I don't think this is an initiative that you want to drag anybody into. They want to do it. They have to have a heart to do it. So we're lucky with the team we have, and we're happy they're expanding.
Dorian, that's such great news to hear. And you're right, you can't drag anybody in. They have to want it and be there and see the value in it. But hearing the positive stories and the places where it is working and the things that all of you are doing to support the schools that you do have implementing, anytime that you get an opportunity to share that outside of just our little group can only help to strengthen and promote Renew across the Commonwealth for sure. So look for those opportunities at local conferences or state conferences, anything, anytime that you would have an opportunity to share outside of our Renew group, we would really appreciate that. And I know people are looking for something that they know works for this population of kids. So for sure. Thanks for sharing that. I saw Adrian pop back in for a second and then she went back out. So I'm not sure, Adrian, if maybe we can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
We can. Yep.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, fingers crossed this lasts. So we have an emotional support classroom, an IU run by a teacher, and she's been doing Renew probably for 4 years. She does a phenomenal job. And so we were hoping to get the school on board because it seems like they just use it for her classroom. So to think outside the emotional support classroom and use it as a whole for general ed. And then COVID hit. So that pushed us back. And same thing with another district, they were interested. So we're actually meeting with the school district at the end of the month, and we are training a small group of teachers who we feel are the leaders, and we're going to hopefully push it out that way.
Awesome. Great plan. Thanks, Adrian. Joanna.
Hi. 20. I'm going to ditto everything that Courtney said. Courtney and I work together with Raquel. So we've had, all things considered, a pretty successful year. And also, I texted Kristen, my internet, my computer, I don't know what it is, but I keep freezing. So I'm hearing parts of the conversation, which is why I have my camera off to see that, just so you know.
Okay, so this is being recorded and we will put this in our folder. So for anybody, I know there are varying issues. There is some wind, there is some weather and stuff across the state today. So definitely you can access the recording once we get that posted. And I think that brings us to Lauren.
Hi, everyone. I apologize. I'm in the car on my way to get my daughter from school, but it's great to be on with all you guys. I am from IU 15 in the Central Region, and unfortunately not a lot to share out in our region, but we've had a lot of great conversations, and it's really encouraging just to hear all of your stories. So as it's been said, please keep talking about it because it's so nice to be able to tell people, this is actually happening and it's happening successfully. So really looking forward to hopefully just really diving into this next year and looking for schools who are ready to just embrace this and run with it. So, but it's great to be on with all you today.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Lauren, for joining us this afternoon. Kristen Starosta, I'm going to open it up to you. I didn't know if you had anything about any schools that you might be supporting.
No.
Or if you didn't. Okay. Yeah, because we typically don't. Yeah, no, we typically don't at Patton, but I didn't want to neglect giving you that opportunity. And I will report out from, I do have 2 schools actually that I'm supporting just because that's the way the pieces fell. One of them is actually an IU 16 and Michael knows about them. He wasn't able to join me with them, but that's where I am supporting a cyber charter high school. So they've always been obviously remote, but they're still trying to figure out this sort of virtual implementation of Renew. And they kind of do a hybrid approach. So they do try to actually meet face-to-face with in person with their youth as well as their families when they can for the implementation of this particular strategy. And then sometimes they are meeting virtually. And then the other school that I'm supporting is actually a middle school that we brought on who applied for the stipend for this year. And we will have a place later this afternoon to talk about what's going on with the schools who are receiving the stipend. But the middle school is in Williamsport. It's in IU 17. And many of you, most of you probably know and remember Kelly Swartwood, who has left IU 17. She's no longer the TAC there, and she's gone to Keystone Central School District to be their behavior specialist there. So there is a new TAC at IU 17, and she's been hired. She's on board. She'll be attending our new TOT training in May. But in the meantime, I've stepped in to help provide some of the 3 days of professional development and other requirements through the stipend with them. So, and in terms of, I'm right there with you. So with my virtual school, we're just trying to figure out how to implement virtually, how to get the children or the students to, show up to their meetings. They work school-wide on engagement, and not only just with Renew, but with just getting kids to show up academically, and to school when they're supposed to, and those kinds of things. And then with the IU 17, with the middle school, same boat. We've managed to get through the first 2 days. We had the third day facilitator training scheduled. And because they've been moving back and forth between in-person and hybrid instructional delivery models, we have pushed back day 3 of that training. So it's coming. But, again, you just have to meet people where they are and kind of plan as much as you can with them, but then be really flexible, because you know that stuff is going to happen. So with that, our agenda for today is to just talk a little bit about some University of New Hampshire updates for Renew, to just remind you about keeping your status current. So we'll go through just ways to check on that and be sure that you are your status is updated. So again, like these webinars, we hold 3 of them throughout the year. You're responsible for attending 2 of the 3 at least. If you attend all 3, certainly, we would love to have you at all 3. But the minimum requirement to keep your status as current as a TOT would be to attend 2 of these. Again, we'll talk about the stipend a little bit. So those of you who are supporting stipend sites, just know and kind of start thinking about what you can share with what's going on in that world, because we will have a couple of minutes to just update everybody else on that. And then I do have not necessarily an article today, but a resource that I would like to share with you, and just get your feet wet a little bit in the event that you aren't familiar with it. So when I look at the calendar and the things that are left on the calendar for this year, we have coming up in May, on May 4th and 5th, we have the training and sustaining of Renew. Anybody is welcome to attend these 2 days, of course, but they really are intended for new TOTs coming on board. So when I just talked about the IU 17 transition, the new TAC from IU 17 is Andrea Turner, and she will be coming to those 2 days so that she can become a Renew TOT as well. So again, you're welcome to attend, but these certainly are mostly intended for those new TOTs who haven't been through the training before. You can receive Act 48 credits for those 2 days. Only if you, and this is no different from any other Act 48, if you have already attended and received Act 48 credits for these training and sustaining days, then you wouldn't receive it again. So in Pennsylvania with our Act 48 system, if you attend a session 1 year and you attend the same session the following year or 2 years later, if you've already received Act 48 once, you can't receive it again for the same session. And then registration is open on the Patton calendar. So if you go to our training calendar and you look at May 4th, you can find the registration. And there is a registration key, I believe, for those 2 days. Kristen, maybe you can help me out with what that key is, if there is one for sure.
I'll look it up.
Thank you. I'm sure I have it somewhere and did not make note of it, and I apologize for that. So in terms of updates from University of New Hampshire, number one you see on here is that New Hampshire has updated their brand and their name. The acronym has changed, so I'm going to take you to the website so we can see that. And the other thing that has happened is they have added an additional map. Now, I know some of you have heard about this already, but I'll talk to you a little bit about that in a little bit more in a second. But what's going to happen as a result of all this is that sometime next fall, we'll have a timeline for you that will help you to guide you through the transition of understanding the additional map, the new one that's being added. It's also going to will remind you of access to the Renew Facilitator manuals and the pocket guides if you're interested and need those. And we'll have new updated slide decks with the new name and brand. So the new map that has been added is a needs statement map. And if any of you have seen this and worked with it already, please feel free to just jump in and share your experiences and your knowledge about it with the group. But what I can tell you is just a basic description of this map. Again, it's called a needs statement map. And you would typically, the map would occur after the fear and barriers map, when the students talk about, what's getting in the way of them making progress, or, what are they afraid of in terms of being able to work through their goals and achieve, the goals that they set forth for themselves. So typically it happens after that fears map. And this is a map where it's not necessarily so much of the graphic representation. So there's not a lot of drawing necessarily with this map, but it gives this youth an opportunity to really think about, okay, here's what I think is getting in my way. Here are the barriers, or here are some of the fears that I have in moving forward in my life. But here are some things that I need that would help me to get over those barriers. So it's an opportunity for the youth and the facilitator to have a conversation about what could help. What are the needs that I have? Who could help me, fill those gaps so that I can make progress and continue to move forward. So is there anybody? Yeah, go ahead.
Erin, this is Doreen. I mentioned before that we did just recently train 6 new facilitators, and this was actually a really funny part of our training, because they had ordered the new pocket guides from New Hampshire. So they had the brand new pocket guides, but they had the manuals. So our PowerPoint, they were so compliant and so into the training that they just went along with us. And we were getting ready and setting the stage for them to role play through the next map. And I'm describing it, and they're like, well, your map is, they didn't say anything. They just kept going. And they're like, but your map is a little different than ours. And I'm like, what? So then we discovered that the manuals that we had don't have the new map, but the pocket guide did. And they were like, but this is our favorite map so far.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was funny. And it was funny that we were excited, but they actually, when they were getting ready and role playing it, they actually found that to be a really, really meaningful map. So it was funny that they discovered it, but the new pocket guides, if you order pocket guides, they have the map in them.
Oh, that's awesome. Doreen, thanks for sharing that, because for everybody who said that you have schools interested right now, and you'll probably be bringing them on, over the course of, the summer and next fall or whatever as new schools, be careful of that. I'm so glad you pointed that out, because if people order the new pocket guides, the manuals don't match yet necessarily. So look for that transition to come, but just know that there might be an extra map in that pocket guide. Good to know.
Hey, Karen, when I trained this past time, I put in the schedule automatically that the tertiary team and the facilitators would have to meet in the fall before we started the school year, for that exact reason, because I wasn't sure when all that new stuff was going to come on board.
Oh, great. Okay. Perfect planning then. Yeah. Yeah. So good. So I don't know. Are there any other updates that anybody's aware of that we haven't mentioned? And I will go into looking at this second bullet, then you'll see that we are also going to transition where we're housing all of our Pennsylvania Renew materials. So right now you all know that they're on the tiny URL housed in a Google Drive that we all have access to. That's all going to actually migrate over to a space that's hosted by University of New Hampshire. So, and that should align better than at that point with what the University of New Hampshire has. And like you can see the note from Silky on here, if you want to be a part of the team that is kind of reviewing all of that, just shoot an email to Silky and let her know. The plan right now is to meet on April 19th to take a look at those. Let me show you a little bit, wrong button, what I mean. I don't have the, this is our tiny URL, right? So I'm just here. This is where all of our materials are housed. And again, when I mentioned you can go back in and watch the recording from today, if you need to for any reason, you can find those here in the Renew Talk webinars. So we have the booster sessions from this year and past years, and then we have these webinars from this year that you can see in here. So here's the one from October 15th. Here's the webinar from January 7th. And then today's webinar will be added once we have the recording from that. So all of this tiny URL, everything that we have on our space here for Pennsylvania will migrate over to the UNH. They'll have a Canvas site or something like that. So when I pull this up to the University of New Hampshire page, again, this is where you can find all of the resources and materials and extra, anything you need about Renew. One thing that I will highlight is right here, what's new in Renew. You may or may not have seen this, but Pennsylvania was highlighted in February, just to say Pennsylvania's doing really great things. And every time there's a community of practice meeting with University of New Hampshire, they always highlight Pennsylvania's great work. So I know that some, you might be feeling a little frustrated right now because schools aren't on, you're having difficulty scheduling things, or you don't have schools that are interested right now because of other, competing priorities and whatnot. But please know that the work that you're doing in the state is being noticed, and it is being acknowledged across the country. The other thing that New Hampshire, or that the site has, is when you go into the facilitators forum, what you can see if they have created a facilitators learning portal. So they have the current user portal that most of you, I'm sure already have access to, but they've created a new learning portal. This is supposed to be cleaner and easier than, to find resources and find whatever you're looking for than what they had prior. So go in and take a look at that new portal. And I know that they're also putting together a new coaches portal. So again, we have a coaches corner. They're updating that as well. So you can go in and request access to the coaches portal, but you'll see a new one, a new coaches corner coming as well. Okay, let me get this back up. I think that brings us up to date. Okay, so a couple of reminders for you. Again, make sure that you're using that Renew implementation guide. That's going to give you all of the information that you need about your responsibilities as a TOT, and where to find links to everything that you need to do in terms of, again, like ordering manuals or entering your training days into the training log and those kinds of things. So just a couple of things that we wanted to point out is in your manual, you'll find, or in your guide, you'll find that there are 3 ways to order facilitator manuals. You can email Kristen Starosta and she can order them for you, or Kristen Olschick. They can be printed right from our prints shop in the Malvern office. You can connect directly with Renew at University of New Hampshire, and you can order them that way. Okay, but you can go in and you can find the ways to order those. Again, we have a change in language. So where in Renew and University of New Hampshire, you'll see building level coaches referred to as a coach. And in Pennsylvania, we're changing that to Renew Building Coordinator. Just because, again, historically, there's some controversy over who we call a coach and who we don't in our state. So you'll see where Renew refers to a coach, we'll have a reference to a coordinator. In your implementation guide, you'll also find the link to the Renew Taught training log. So anytime you're providing a training for your facilitators or your teams, your schools, you want to definitely go in and access that training log and record your activities in there. And let me just remind you what that looks like. So the training log, you'll just access through a Google form. And again, it just asks you for your name, the IU or your agency that you're with, what training did you deliver, the dates, the name of the school district or the IU or the building. And then there's a place for you to add additional notes if there's anything else that you want to include in there.
Erin, I have a question, Doreen. A lot of us, when they were introducing, recognized and said that they had plans and then at last minute districts canceled. Is there a way, because we put a lot of work into getting ready for those and planning for those, and then if the district cancels at the last minute, is there a way that we could put into that form if that happens? So it's a record of us doing the work and having all, plans of doing it, but then for no fault of our own, they canceled it.
Right. So Doreen, let's hold on that and we'll send that question to Silky and see how she wants to manage that, because this form doesn't account for any of the, I hear what you're saying, so I'm not discounting what you're saying, but this form doesn't account for any of the time that goes into planning and preparing for those. It just is the dates that you provided the training. There is a place down here for notes. So you could say, here would be my question for Silky. We could say that the training was scheduled for such and such a day, but in your notes, you could say the school canceled or something. But I would have to get more information about the purpose of the data that we're collecting from this and how Silky's going to use it, how she's going to display it to find out how that should be captured. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that makes sense, Karen. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So know that I don't have an answer right now. I just need to see if that's how we want to. We'll just have to have a conversation about that. So I'll make a note of that. Sorry, just writing that down. Okay. And then while I'm here, before I toggle back, what I'll do is just show you. Also, you'll find in the in your guide a link to, wrong one. Oh, to your letter of commitment. So this is the form that you would access to go in and like each year, just get that commitment from your supervisor that yes, you are, a Renew trainer. Your training facilitators. This asks for the name and title of your supervisor. And this is just essentially knowing and your organization or agency or LEA. And it's just a way for us to know that, yes, your supervisor, your direct report understands the time and effort that needs to be put into Renew, and that you are adopting that as a possible intervention and strategy to use and, again, spend the time on supporting at your schools and whatnot. So you can also find the link to that commitment form in your guide. Thank you, Kristen. And then just in case you didn't see the chat, the registration code for the May 4th and 5th TOT training is just renew TOT, renew TOT, and that would be in all capital letters. Usually those are case specific.
Sharon, I hate to interrupt you, but they would need to email me because Sophie had me cap it at 30 people for a reason. I'm not sure why, if that's how.
Okay.
I can't think of her name, wanted it that way from the, who's helping with the training. From
Oh, okay.
the university, I'm
So
not
Kathy.
sure. So there's only 4 spots left.
Oh, okay. Oh, good to know.
So there was a couple people that had asked, and she was telling them that we were going to wait and see if there was open spots, then we would let them in. So if they could email me, and then I can check with Silky and see, you know, if she wants to let, she's doing it based on if we already have people trained in that IU, they may, like, because I think we had, Jamie, I think we had Eva Jo reach out, and we told her right now we were going to hold off, and if we had open spots, we may let her in. So that's how we were kind of working it. So I would have to check with Silky. So if they can, if anybody can email me, and I'll put my email in the chat in case you guys need it. And then I can reach out, I'll reach out with information and how to register and all
Oh,
that.
Kristen, fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, so if any of you are, if anybody is bringing on a new TOT in your IU and they haven't registered yet, you can pass that along, that they should reach out to Kristen O to get that. And then Kristen Strost is going to just confirm about, Kristen, I know we've gone back and forth about how often you all need to complete the letter of commitment. And we've talked about doing it annually. And then we've talked about maybe we don't need to do it annually. So we will check on that and just get a definite answer for you of, do you have to submit this annually or not? Okay. Okay. So that's just some of the reminders about what is in your implementation guide. But again, all the information you need in order to, fulfill your responsibilities, and any links to those forms and things, the tiny URL, all of that stuff is in your implementation guide. So you definitely want to have that handy. Okay. And then, okay, I don't know, that just went back. Okay, so the other thing that we need to do is make sure that you keep your status as a Renew TOT current. And right now we have 45 Renew TOTs. We're hoping for all 45 TOTs to be 100%, everybody to be current for the 2020-21 school year. And again, that is by making sure that you're logging your trainings, that you have a commitment form in, at least at this point, that you attended a booster, that you attended at least 2 or out of 3 of these webinars, all of those kinds of things. And again, Kristen Olsick, who is a rock star for us, is able to help you determine what your status is, whether or not you're current. She does monitor and keep track of all the attendance and the anything that needs to be submitted by all of you. So if you're not sure of your status, whether or not you're current for this year, please make sure to email Kristen. And again, she did drop her email address in the chat box. It's also here at the bottom of this slide. You could jot down quickly, and she will help you determine your status. Okay, and then somebody did mention earlier or put it in the chat, Joanna, Raquel, and Courtney, thank you so much, from IU20, that they have submitted the proposal to present with a district at the next secondary transition conference, which will be in October. So again, just a shout out to all of you who have put together these proposals, and that all of you that are spreading the word, again, outside of just this Renew group, to become better acquainted and familiar with Renew and the impact that it really can have on youth. Is there anybody else who is currently slated to present anywhere that you want to share? kind of leave that open. Okay. But just keep thinking about those opportunities. Okay, so this brings us to our, just a quick update on the schools that receive stipends for this year. And right now we have, you can see at IU 28, we have Penns Manor, IU 20, Saucon Valley, IU 29 has Schuylkill Haven. And I talked to you about Williamsport Area Middle School a little bit in the IU 17 region. And then in IU 3, we have the Community School West. We are anticipating that there will be another opportunity for next year to provide stipends. And again, we'll probably be looking for, like 3 sites per region. I think that's kind of what we were shooting for this year as well. And you can see we ended up with 2 from the West, 2 from the Central region, and 1 from the East. And again, we're looking for schools that are ready to initially begin to implement school-wide in their, at their schools, or they're already implementing and looking at expanding. So look for that, hopefully that opportunity to come out next year. Does anybody else have updates from your stipend site or anything else, or questions or anything you want to share? Kristen Strost, is there anything I missed?
I think that's good.
Okay.
Question, Karen. This is Courtney from IU 20. So as of right now, we have Raquel and Joanna have a plan to offer Renew in June. And we've been inviting schools, trying to get the word out. We had one school that would be brand new to it, but now I'm wondering if you're saying that this grant opportunity might not come out until next year. I'm wondering your thoughts on that. Like if they already got the training, let's say in June, but then the grant came out and they were approved for the grant, could that kind of like retro act because they just got the training and they would still be starting at that?
They could, and that would be fine. Yeah, Courtney. So if they've already had the initial training days, that would be okay. They could use their stipend funds to continue to scale up their implementation, or just to, if they've only had the training days, but they hadn't really started to implement yet, that's fine. And yeah, we could go back and say, yep, they had their training days. We can check that off in terms of the requirements for the fulfillment of the stipend. The other things they would have to do though are, there's some data collection pieces that about that they would have to do. But I can't imagine, Kristen Strost, unless I'm missing something, that they wouldn't still be able to apply. They would still have to, as far as we know, unless the application changes, but as far, they would still have to be ready to implement PBIS or already implementing and looking at scaling that up.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Is that right, Kristen? Okay.
I mean, that makes sense. And I just as a follow-up to the commitment letter, I looked on the online form and the paper form, and there's nothing on there that specifically indicates that it has to be completed each year. But again, we'll double check. And I just put the IUs in there that completed the online form. And I don't have access to the paper forms. So, if your IU isn't listed on there, it could have been completed via paper.
Yeah, definitely. And we do have record of that. And that should be in your, in PTrack where you enter that. There is a place for you, if you use the paper form, there is a place for you to scan that and save it in a folder within PTrack.
For this specific school, but this is the commitment for the TOTS.
Yeah, I thought there was a place there too. Maybe not. Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay. There may be. Yeah, I apologize. There may be.
No, it's okay. No, that's okay. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we depend on Silky a lot. Silky is the keeper of all things Renew. So she has all those different levels of information in her head.
and somehow I have to research for all of it. So let me get you, here's the commitment letter. Here's the link to the commitment letter, because there is a note in the chat box that you can't find it. So there's the link to the commitment letter.
And it's in the tiny URL.
Mhm.
If you go to the 20, I think it says 2020 to 2022 training materials. It's within there.
So if we go back to, nope, that's not it. Okay, I'm not going to try to find it right now because I see that we are short on time. Oh my goodness, these hours go so quickly. So I did pull for you just a resource, again, that I want to make sure that everybody's aware of, because it's a really good resource to have. And it has both information for us as practitioners, as well as success stories. So I think it's a nice balance of kind of both sides. But before we get into that, I just want to have you think about a few questions, and feel free to drop an answer in the chat box, or just unmute your mic and share your thoughts. But I want you to look at just this first question. How many graduates do you think there are with bachelor's degrees between the ages of 23 and 26 who are either unemployed or employed in jobs that don't require a degree? Like, give me a percentage, give me a ratio, what do you think that is? Nice. Okay. So we have So we have people with bachelor's degrees, and they're either unemployed or they're in jobs that don't require that degree. And it's 2 out of 3, 2/3. So somebody said 60%, really close. Yeah. So over 60% of that age group is in a job where they don't even need that degree that they've earned, that they worked so hard for. So just kind of keep that in the back of your head, thinking about the next, and I said the next decade, we're now even looking at maybe like the next 5 years. What kinds of jobs do you think are going to grow in demand over a period of time? Next 5 to 10 years or so. Any thoughts? Influencers, robotics, healthcare, technology, IT and trades. Okay. And what jobs do you think are going to decline over that same time period? Which one do you think will not be in so much in demand? Manufacturing, retail, customer service. Okay. I'm going to skip that next question, but what are the skills that employers are looking for? What are they reporting that they're looking for in new hires? Soft skills, Mike? Problem solving. Yep. Social, emotional, creativity, but nice communication, problem solving, collaboration. Awesome. You guys are great. So here's what I know now I could compare this to 4-year degrees, but this is just really quickly a screenshot of average salaries. This is a little bit old, from 2016. This comes from the McKinsey Global Institute and Pearson. But 2-year degrees, the average salaries are ranging, you can see there, $40,000 to $60,000. Okay, and this kind of runs the gamut. If I showed you a similar comparison to 4-year degrees, what you would see is that this average salary column isn't going to look much different. Okay. Now let's look at this. This is just quickly to get you thinking and bring us all kind of on the same page. If I'm looking at all of these are the top 10 associate degrees. And then the rank from 1 through 10 of the majors within that degree. And what you see over here in the 4th column is what the early, salary, early in the career, what the salary would be. And then you see in the final column what the mid-career salary would be. So for the #1 major, physician assistant, it's an associate's degree and mid-year making $98,000. And as you go down the list, you're going to see similar things, okay? Which are, if I take you back, just to compare from, again, 2016, so a little bit outdated, and this would be the average salary. So this isn't looking necessarily beginning and mid, that this is just the average salary across that, okay? Look at the jump and look at the difference in the kinds of jobs that, again, you all, a lot of you mentioned in the chat box, are going to be more desirable. These are the jobs that we're going to continue to see increase in demand. And I bring you this just as a way to start to connect what we're doing and what we can be supporting as facilitators with youth involved in Renew. We talk a lot about helping them to see the relevance of school and helping our youth to make those connections. So I bring to you this Pennsylvania Career and Technical Education brochure. Are you familiar with this? Are people aware of this? Do you use this? Anybody?
Yeah, Karen, if you're in transition too, you know about that.
Okay, so some people are. So yeah, I'm seeing some heads shaking, saying no, and I'm seeing some people in the chat box saying no. So what I'll do is let me just take you out to this. This should be linked. Sorry, I'm trying to drop the link in the chat box for you. I'm not doing a very good job. I'll keep working on that. It's just not coming up right now. So what you'll see is it's not a huge document. It's 20 pages. And when I scroll down through here, again, what I want, I'm just going to leave this up here. I want you to just kind of start to skim through this a little bit while I work again on getting all of this. Here we go. Here's the link in the chat box where you can get to this. And I was hoping to have a little bit more time, but I talked too much up to this point. So what you'll see on this first page, I'm just going to highlight a few pages for you. What you see on this first page is just kind of an introduction to the importance of CTCs and CTEs in a CTE program in Pennsylvania and what Pennsylvania is doing. Because again, these are the discussions and that you're going to see throughout this document really support all of those questions that you just answered in terms of what are employers looking for. And you guys were absolutely right. They are looking for people who have had immersion internships in real world places, real world jobs through their high school careers. They're looking for people who can communicate, people who can work together, work with other people. So when somebody said those soft skills, that is absolutely what employers are looking for. And what they're saying, this is what's lacking in, when we're interviewing and looking at job seekers. There's some success stories peppered throughout here. But if I just take you down to I'm going to go down to page 6 quickly. But again, here's what you told me. Where are the jobs that are coming up? And again, many jobs are going to be automated over the next 5 to 10 years. So jobs that we never, didn't think maybe they would be, or we didn't think the automation would come as quickly. There are some jobs that just won't be able to be automated. And with the automation of some jobs comes new, different jobs. So we need to be keeping our fingers on the pulse of where those jobs are going to be and what are the skills that our kids are going to need to be coming out of. And again, here's just a comparison of if kids do want that post-secondary, just coming out with an associate's degree. what the entry level wage would be versus, like an average annual wage. So just a little bit of a different comparison. But you can see the difference in, again, we're looking at 2-year degrees versus those 4-year degrees. And then you can see, even if there's not maybe an associate's degree involved, employers really are looking for students who are coming out with that on-the-job training. So again, those internship opportunities and things like that. So I know we're at the end of our time, but I would just, I'll drop this in the folder with the recording and the slide deck once we have that, so that you can have access, continued access to this. But again, the link is in the chat box. And I would just recommend, take a little bit of time to read through this. Again, it's an easy read. It doesn't take a long time, just to as a way to keep our fingers on the pulse of what's happening in Pennsylvania and our CTE programs. Is there anybody from transition? I know, feel free to log off if you need to get to your next place, but is there anybody from transition or anybody who is familiar with this who wants to just give a quick overview of how you use it or how you find it valuable or how you share it?
Yeah, this is Chris Booklich from IU1.
Hi, Chris.
Yeah, I work in transition. I'm a TAC here. No, I appreciate you sharing this. Again, this is something I can share with, my transition council meeting participants. So I definitely will take a look at it. Thank you.
Great place to share it. Sure. Thank you. Okay. And so with that, I'm going to leave you with this document. Again, just an additional resource to help you make those connections to the relevancy of high school and a youth's future, as just another way to kind of highlight that for them. So with that, I'm just going to pop up here on the screen our contact information in case you need it for any reason. You may need to check in with Kristen Olsick about your current status, or you may need to, if you want to join us on April 19th to talk about the updates and the transition to the UNH site. Again, let Silky know. You can email her and join us on that day. Otherwise, thank you all once again for joining us this afternoon. We really do appreciate your time and your contributions. And please know, people are noticing the work that's going on in Pennsylvania. So enjoy the rest of your evening, the warmer weather that's coming up, and happy spring.
Thank you.